We know you like talking Star Wars. We like talking Star Wars. So that's exactly what we're going to do. This is The Wars and More.
All right, it is May the 4th weekend, and we are celebrating the only way we know how. We're going to talk about Star Wars. This is The Wars and More. I'm Joe, and of course with me is my good buddy Doug. Hey Doug, how you doing this week?
Doing pretty good, Joe. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. It's, we had Star Wars Celebration, and now we're having Star Wars Day, which is yet another celebration of Star Wars. I'm in.
Absolutely.
This is what I'm talking about.
Right.
Like Star Wars Overload time. I'm all in for Star Wars Overload.
Absolutely.
Is there really an overload point though?
No, I don't think so. I think, whenever you can interject Star Wars into anything that you got going on, that makes it better.
Yeah. It's funny because I feel like over these past couple weeks, because I just rewatched that 70s show on Netflix. Right?
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like Eric Foreman over the last, like everything that happens, like, oh yeah, that reminds me of this in Star Wars,
Right?
Where like every situation has applied to Star Wars lately, but that's what's on the brain.
Absolutely.
I mean, I come out of Celebration, now it's May the 4th. It's
heck yeah,
feeling like Eric Foreman. But yeah, so May the 4th weekend, I cannot remember a time like the last couple years. And maybe this is because you have a powerhouse like Disney come in, right?
Right.
And the marketing strategy and all that is amped up, turned up to 11.
Right.
But I don't remember so many local events.
There was never anything like this when I was young. That's for sure. I would say not until the prequel era did we have anything like this going on at all, and then we would start to see some things like, Star Wars Day at a baseball game, things like that. But, never before that. So this is, it's definitely a good time to be a fan. You get to, experience good time with Star Wars fans all in, whenever you can congregate with other fans, it's always a good time.
Well, let's just take, for example, we're in Michigan. Okay.
Yep.
And we're not exactly too far apart in Michigan, given the grand scheme of this state. It's a big state.
Right.
Right. But you have an event in Detroit, you're closer to Detroit than I am.
Yes.
And there is a Tiger game. They're doing a Star Wars night at the Tiger game.
Right.
So that's closer to you. I'm closer to the border with Ohio, near Toledo, right?
Right.
And Toledo's got a Star Wars night for their ball team.
Yeah.
So we're separated by less than an hour. And there's two events in that amount of distance.
Exactly.
Not only that, but overlapping in Toledo as well is they are playing A New Hope at the Huntington Center there. And the Toledo Symphony Orchestra is going to be performing the music for the film. And that's also taking place on May 4th. So this is quite a bit for local events.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. I mean, really from where I'm at, I could hit any one of these three. And
right, same here. But it's like I'm just saying, like, just our gap, and this is closer to you, this is closer to me. It's
sure. Yeah. But yeah, you have many choices, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure if you had an hour, north of you, for example, there's probably something else.
Yeah. I'm sure.
It's just, that's, You know what? You know when we used to see this many events going on, we used to see this about the time a movie was about to come out.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, right about the time a movie was about to come out.
Yeah, like in the weeks leading up to it. Yeah.
Yeah, you would see similar type events, not really on the scale of this. It was a little more low key, designed at targeting the hardcore fans.
Right.
This is mainstream.
Yeah, it is.
This is targeting your casual Star Wars fan.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, this is the kind of stuff that gets the person that was like, you know, yeah, I like Star Wars a little bit, but they're probably going to be carrying a lightsaber this weekend when they go out. You know,
Exactly.
It's nuts.
Hey, you mean when you go out, you don't carry a lightsaber?
I'm saying like regular people.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, of course I carry a lightsaber. I got a license for that, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's wild. And you know, there's been some talk of Star Wars fatigue and things like that, right?
Right.
Where?
Yeah, exactly. Because
it seems to be getting stronger from what I could tell.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, it's a little different than, you know, okay, are some of the people that have been around for a long time feeling a little fatigued? Maybe. Not me. I mean, I've been around a long time and I'm not feeling any fatigue.
Right.
But there are people out there that may be a little bit, right?
I guess.
But the thing is that that mainstream momentum, it's gaining vigor, you know?
Totally.
No fatigue there.
Right.
So kind of neat. Gives us more Star Wars stuff to do with our free time.
Yeah, absolutely.
As if I had free time. But yeah, it's wild. And you know, for those of us who've been around, you know, a long time, and for the new fans, with May 4th always comes tons of sales on Star Wars video games. And we're talking the new games all the way to the way classic games. And I mean way classic games.
Yeah, right.
And this year is no exception. And this year actually has some games I haven't really seen on this list over the last few years.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing like X-Wing versus TIE Fighter.
Ooh.
Dark Forces.
Oh.
Here's one. This is one that, you know, I ain't seen in a minute and was kind of like popular with the hardcores, but kind of a quiet one at the same time. Republic Commando.
Oh, right. I played that.
I'm excited to get my hands back on this thing.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2 on sale, you know, and new stuff. The new Battlefront game is got some sales. The pinball, there's sales on that. All the mobile games, like Galaxy of Heroes and what's the other one? Commander? Star Wars Commander? Yes, Commander.
I was going to say, it's slipping my mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So there's sales on that stuff. The Lego games, there's sales on that.
Wow.
There's a note. Oh, never mind. I almost said that there's a notable missing one, but it's here. And that one will be available on Steam. It wasn't available on Steam back when it came out. Just Shadows of the Empire.
Ah, nice. Huh. That was a popular one.
Yeah.
Way back.
Rogue Squadron.
Nice.
Here's another one I'm looking forward to getting my hands on. Episode 1 Racer.
Oh, cool.
I mean, I could sit here and start naming these off all day. Just a walk down memory lane here.
Yeah, I was going to say, some of these take you way back.
Hey, you remember like X-Wing Alliance?
Right? Wow.
So yeah, there's some cool stuff in here. Even in some of the like the just classic games, like the arcade game, you'll be able to get your hands on that.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Nice. Man, some of these titles are taking me back to the time when I
saw that.
had time to play video games.
Thought that was on the PC list. I might be wrong on that. If I'm wrong on that, that's BS, man. I don't know. There's too many here.
Lots of games.
But yeah, the game we're about to talk about and start to dive into is one of those big panels that happened at Celebration, which is the panel for Jedi Fallen Order.
Yes.
We're about to get into that, but one of the games that Jedi Fallen Order is kind of reminding everybody of was the Force Unleashed games.
Ah, yeah.
And those will be in that big sale. So if you haven't played those,
oh sweet,
you should probably go do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a game that needs to be in everybody's playlist if you are a gamer.
Right.
Heck, I might go back and play them again. I don't have to buy them though. I still have them.
Yeah.
I think that'll be playthrough number, I don't know, 7 or 8, something like that. Well, they went and put in did they do it in both of them? I know they did it in the second one for sure, where you could like kind of change your path and it changed the story.
Right.
So you had choices that you could make towards the end of the game. So it's like, well, I got to play it again and try the other path.
Of course.
I think both of them had that. You had a dark side and a light side ending.
I don't recall. Possibly.
Yeah, I remember the first one didn't work out for you, either one you picked.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. So, tons of great deals for May the 4th.
So this is going to be just on May the 4th?
No. So this will be running, I think it starts on 2nd or 3rd.
Okay.
And it varies based on what you're looking at here. Some of them end on the 7th. Some of them go all the way up through the 9th.
Oh, excellent.
So
it's like a week-long
a little
May the
bit
4th
of time
celebration. Yeah.
Yeah, and it works for us to talk about this because, we'll probably release on either the 4th or 5th.
Right.
So if we release on the 5th and we're talking about it and it's done on the 4th, yeah, that was dumb, right?
Yeah, right.
So, no, we're not doing that to you. So if you're listening to this as it comes out, you still got time.
Right. Unlike the free comic book day, which is going to be on the 4th. So,
yeah.
Sorry, that happened already. But,
yeah.
Which there are some Star Wars
free
titles.
comic book day. I mean, if you have internet, you should know about that already.
Right.
Yeah, they got is that like the new thing for free comic book day to be right around May the 4th?
I think it's around the same time of year, yeah.
Has it always been that? I thought I remember that being like,
I think it's like, I don't know, it might be like the first Saturday in May or something like that.
For some reason I felt like I remember it happening in April.
It's possible it might have.
And like mid-April, like right around either the week before or week after Easter, I thought it was. But who knows?
I was gonna say all these your quote unquote holidays, May except for May the 4th.
No, that's float. A real holiday.
Yeah, I know. But Easter floats, free comic book day, that kind of floats around. May the 4th. It's the one steady thing you got going on. One thing you can count on.
Yep. Well, that's good. I've been counting on Star Wars a long time.
That's right.
All right. So, Jedi Fallen Order.
Right on.
Did you happen to see this trailer, Doug?
I did see the trailer,
And
it looks fantastic.
okay, I was just gonna say your first reaction. It's very reminiscent of like when The Force Unleashed came out, right? Like,
Oh yeah, totally.
kind of get the same kind of feels.
Yep.
It kind of reminds me when we were looking at 1313, but
Right.
I digress.
I was gonna say, okay, let's not go there again. That's all right.
Still bitter.
Yeah, I know. I can tell.
So this is our weekly update. Joe is still bitter about 1313.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we touched on this again last week, but okay, got it.
Well, I said weekly update.
Right.
So you never know; it might change.
Yeah.
Doubt it.
Yeah, unless they release that game. No.
They might as well. I mean, unlike a lot of stuff EA does, it's done.
Right.
Oh, that was low.
Oh, okay.
That was
Wow.
pretty low.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this a little bit. So one thing I thought that was really interesting, and I think about you and I, right? We talk about our levels of gaming, right?
Yep.
And you always say you're a casual gamer. You're not a hardcore.
Right.
One thing that stood out to me with watching this panel is they talked about the combat in this game. Because, like The Force Unleashed, you're talking about lightsaber usage and force usage and things like that. And when you start talking about all these abilities and everything, things can get really complicated really fast.
Right.
Right. And for casual gamers coming in, that's not always a good thing. It's kind of a turnoff.
Right. Yeah.
They hear other people talking about a game and they get super complicated in all the moves and things like that you talk about, and they kind of steer away from that. Like, it's not really my thing.
Depending on the thing, that could be me. Yeah.
Right. But they emphasize that this is Star Wars, and Star Wars has a broad audience.
Right.
And that means your casual gamers and your hardcore gamers. Mm-hmm. So they designed the combat for this game to be easy to pick up, right? So for a casual gamer, it's going to be easy for you to come in, pick it up.
I like the sound of that.
And then they added extra depth to it. So for your hardcore gamers that come in, you can really, dive into it and really master the abilities that the game offers for your character.
Gotcha.
So you'll be able to play the game and get by with the basic skills that it takes to play the game. But if you really want to go nuts, you can.
I like it. That's good.
That was the first thing that jumped out to me, because sometimes, like, I have a lot of friends that are just casual gamers, right?
Right.
And I talk about some games and they're kind of like turned off by them because there's just too much to it.
Right.
Like, I don't want to deal with all that crap. I want to go in, I want to play the story, I want to get the story, have fun playing the game while earning myself these story treats, right?
Yeah.
Whereas me, I want to go in, I want to tweak my character, I want to do,
Yeah. Yeah, I get it.
So,
that's
like,
perfect.
I'm more of a hardcore gamer, but I'm also not at the same level as some other gamers.
Right.
Like, some of the crap these kids do nowadays, oh my god, dude. It makes some games just not fun for me.
Yeah, I bet.
Going to multiplayer is like, how did they do that? Like, really, we've been in this game 3 minutes, and how do you have all of that?
Right. So it sounds to me like this might be something that someone like me could pick up, spend a few minutes on, like, learning controls and go. And, if I have, 45 minutes or an hour a week to play it, it's going to be okay. as opposed to, having to spend, you know, 4-hour long sessions, because I haven't got that,
Yeah, so you're not going to come into this. It's going to be Dark Souls, like it's
Right.
like, and for the casual gamers, Dark Souls is one of those games where there is no difficulty setting. Okay.
Okay.
Like the game is just hard.
Gotcha.
You have to be a
Committed
and well-skilled gamer to get through the game.
Yeah. That's not a game for me.
Right. This is not that. So this sounds like to me it'll be similar to like the Force Unleashed experience where you can come in and you can get through the game. You don't have to know the ins and outs of every fight you go into. You don't have to plan for everything. And you don't have to start over when you die.
Right. Right. That's me. I mean, I like to try and kind of, play from checkpoint to checkpoint, because that's kind of what I have time to do. And like you said, it's nice to get the, the story treats, as you put it. And,
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the way I consume Star Wars gaming, right? You're playing the game and you're really, yeah, sure, you're invested in the game, but you're really looking forward to getting to that next cinematic.
Exactly.
Because you're getting that piece of that, like I said, cinematic Star Wars experience.
Yep.
So, Force Unleashed was good for that. Battlefront 2 was good for that. Battlefront 2, I think, could have been a lot more in depth. I felt that story could have went a lot further.
Right.
And been more detailed. I felt it was short, but whatever. It was still cinematic Star Wars gaming,
Oh yeah.
So, and it was good for what it was, but it was short.
Right.
Especially since like you get to the end of it and now you're invested in these characters and it's like, really, that's it? That's all we get? But Battlefront had its problems.
Right.
I don't think having gamers being satisfied with what they had was like high on their priority list with that one.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, did you like that? Well, you can buy this and make it better.
Yeah. I think you expressed your opinions earlier there.
Which that is another point I'll bring up. They led this panel off like it was in the first couple minutes. And they said, no loot boxes, no, buying more content. Like it wasn't, that's not their focus here.
Well, that's good. That's
now to say there probably won't be DLC that you can purchase later down the road is crazy.
Right.
There probably will be.
Right.
But it doesn't sound like they're selling you an incomplete game this time.
Yeah, that's
the
important thing.
Which is not just EA and Star Wars being guilty of.
No, I agree.
This is gaming as a whole nowadays.
Right.
It's giving you enough content for your $60 or $70, or if you buy the other stuff, it could be up to $100. It's giving you enough content to get to the next thing you have to buy, and that has been a shame for gaming.
Yeah.
This one doesn't sound like it's going that route. This looks like they are looking for you to be satisfied with what you get out of the box when you purchase this on day one.
Well, that's good to hear. I like the way that the gameplay sounds like it's going to be handled, and it sounds like it's going to reach a broad fan base. So that's good.
Yeah. All right. So the main character, Cal Kestis.
Yes.
So we're watching the panel. I got super excited when they brought this guy out. So the actor playing Cal Kestis is Cameron Monaghan,
Right on.
who I would say is best known for his work in Gotham
Right.
as Jerome and Jeremiah,
Right.
or the Joker.
Yes. Another Star Wars Joker connection.
Yes,
I like it.
seems to be a thing these days.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's super exciting. I like his acting. I like his style.
Absolutely.
He's when you watch him play as Jerome and Jeremiah, he seems like that super committed actor.
Yes.
He's super committed to his character. He's putting in the legwork.
Totally.
And then you hear him talk in this interview, and sounds like he's a Star Wars fan. They ask him what it's like to be a Jedi. He's like, look, when I was a kid watching these movies with my dad, and wearing out certain, scenes in the film, and he even said particularly Vader scenes in, Return of the Jedi.
Nice.
And he said, you always dreamed of this, and he never thought that this was ever going to be a reality in his life, to get to be a Jedi.
That's cool.
So, super cool. And it wasn't your standard canned answer like, oh, I was a big fan from no, he had specific things that he wanted to point out there.
Right on.
And I dug that.
Totally.
Pretty cool. Another cool casting choice, we'll say,
Okay.
is this droid that's going to be Cal's companion.
Uh-huh.
BD1. Did you happen to get a look at BD1?
A quick look in on the trailer, but yeah.
Okay. So, I guess they wanted to give this droid tons of cred.
Okay.
Because if you want to give a droid tons of Star Wars cred, I think they did about the best you can do. All your voices and sounds and things like that for BD1 are coming from none other than Ben Burt.
Ah. Yeah, I think that's about all the cred you need right there.
It doesn't get much more like Star Wars royalty when it comes to, droids and sound effects and things like that.
Right.
I mean, Ben Burt's been there since the beginning.
Right.
So, thought that was neat.
Yeah, totally.
And then the other thing that stood out to me was we see this villain.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
And anyone who's watched Rebels knows of these Inquisitors.
Right.
So this villain is the second sister.
Right.
And super intriguing to me off the get-go. Like right out the gate, I'm like, okay, who is this Inquisitor? And I'm gonna go right to the crazy deep end here and go, and is it Barasafi?
Ooh, nice. Huh. I think not, but I will say, after watching Rebels, I thought it was the seventh sister right off the bat, till I heard that it was the second sister. So interesting that, it's another character. So be cool to see how that plays out.
Yeah. And, they kind of touch on the character's smarts, right? The character's ability to think on her feet.
Yep.
And they pointed out that in that scene where you see her on the viewport of the ship.
Yep.
She's actually controlling the flight stick.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Using the Force.
Yeah.
And I'm like when I watched the trailer, I didn't really pick up on that.
Yeah, me neither until I heard about that. That was a nice touch there.
And that's super exciting because you know you're fighting a villain, and really what's probably going to end up being your at least one of your main end bosses, right?
Right.
To put it in just simple gaming terms.
Right.
It's not going to be an easy win.
Exactly.
This character is going to be a couple steps ahead of you.
Yeah, thinking outside the box a little bit. Because that move right there, that was one that when that was explained, I thought, wow, okay, this is cool. This is pretty smart. I like it.
Right, because when you watch the trailer the first time and you just look at how she is on the front of the ship there, you just think that she's using a force to try and break into the ship.
Right.
And then when they explain that and you watch it again, you realize, like, okay, it's not just that. It's not so linear and like, okay, here's my target. I got to get to my target.
Right.
No, it's okay. Your character's this character's putting you in a situation here that is beyond just a straight up fight.
Right.
So it adds a new level to your adversary.
Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be real cool.
Yeah, definitely looks really cool, and it's the most excited I've been for a Star Wars game in a while, and I'm super happy about that because I needed to be super excited about a Star Wars game.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I was excited about Battlefront, but it was like, okay, we had the first one. Like the first one I was super excited for.
Right.
And it was because it's like, oh, the return to Star Wars Battlefront, right?
Right.
And the second one was like, okay, they're gonna they're gonna do what they do. It's gonna be similar.
Right.
And it was different, way different actually. But and Battlefront has really come a long way. So I bag on it. I know I do that, but it's come a long way and it's become very playable and very enjoyable. So given that and the direction that they've seemed to go with all this, adds to my excitement level. Because it seems like they're listening and they're learning from the mistakes they're making.
Awesome.
Which, every property, they make mistakes along the way.
Sure. It's how you handle those mistakes that defines how you are as a company, right?
Yes. And it defines on it really speaks to what you're going to do in the future.
Right. Because
if you're learning from your mistakes right now and you're correcting them and making good, then your future project should reflect that.
Exactly.
So I expect Jedi Fallen Order to be a really fun and really satisfying Star Wars experience. So
awesome.
Have something to add to the conversation, or you just want to let us know how we're doing? Email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best place to get in on the action. But if social media is a little more to your liking, @TheWarsandMore on Twitter is always a good place to interact with us. And we're also on Facebook, facebook.com/TheWarsandMore. And of course, your portal to this and everything else, The Wars and More, is thewarsandmore.com. All right, so, I have a lot of friends that are, from other countries. And one thing that always cracks me up is kind of hearing what they call movies that we know titles for and things like that. And, Star Wars is going to be no exception this time around. Turns out the Hungarian translation didn't work for them. So they changed the name up for the Hungarian release.
Right. So, yeah, I saw this tweet here, which is from a name I got to be honest, I can't pronounce. So, it says, we have received the official response. It says, We're looking for a better suited expression for the Hungarian language than a raw translation. Disney approved the Hungarian title, which is Skywalker Korra. Translated into English, Age of Skywalker.
All right, so two things here. One, my family, we are of Hungarian descent.
Uh-huh.
So this, when you brought this up to me earlier, I was like super intrigued. I'm like, oh, I got to hear this.
Right.
You know, because it's like, this is my heritage here.
Yeah. I thought you might like that.
Yeah, and I really dug that. And then I heard the title, you know, Age of Skywalker, that translation. Right. And I'm like, man, I kind of like that better.
Yeah. I gotta be honest with you. My first thought was, I think this lends a whole lot of credibility to the thought that a lot of folks are having about what it's going to mean to be a Skywalker moving forward in Star Wars.
Yeah. And, you know, there's been a lot of talk about, you know, and I guess a little bit of a spoiler alert, right?
Oh,
because
yeah, I guess
it's potential, right?
It's potential. It's speculation, right?
That Skywalker is going to be kind of the new order, right? So Jedi out, Skywalker's in.
Yeah.
Well, if that is the way they're going, then Age of Skywalker, I think, is kind of a better title for that.
Yeah. I tend to agree.
It's kind of funny that way.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
Yeah, and you know, Star Wars is, you know, not really, you know, sci-fi. It kind of gets bunched into that sci-fi category a lot, right?
Right.
And it really shouldn't be. It should really be thrust into fantasy more so.
Yeah.
It should be more in the realm of Lord of the Rings than it is in the realm of Star Trek.
Yes. Yeah, it should be nowhere near Star Trek.
Yeah, I'm saying style of storytelling, you know.
Right. Yes.
It's more Lord of the Rings than it is Star Trek.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
So it's more fantasy than sci-fi.
Yes.
And I think Age of Skywalker sounds really fantasy, you know.
Oh, it totally does.
You're using that whole, you know, it was kind of, when you watch movies that are kind of medieval setting, things like that.
Yep.
That use of like age of this is very common.
Yeah, it's almost got like a historical vibe to it, you know. And
right.
And our saga starts off with, you know, a long time ago. So
yeah, so using a title like Age of This is really suiting.
Yeah, totally.
Now, that's not saying I don't like the title The Rise of Skywalker. It's way better than the titles we were talking about in the whole rumor mill leading up to Celebration.
Right. The Balance of the Force. Yeah. Ooh.
Balance of the Force, or what was it?
Son of Darkness.
Skywalkers? Like,
oh yeah, it was another one. Yeah.
At least that one was a ballpark, at least, right?
Yeah, exactly.
so yeah, I dig it. I like it. It's one of those, you hear those translations, you know, like I said, from my friends, I hear translations for stuff all the time, and I'm like, really? That's what you called it?
Exactly.
Like, man, that wasn't even close.
Right.
This one is, one, close to the original title.
Yeah.
And kind of carries, like I said, what seems like a better vibe.
Yeah. Totally.
So, yeah, I dig it. I might be a little biased.
Yeah, but hey, you know.
Yeah. Heritage and all, right?
Yeah. But I gotta say, I agree.
So, Gotta say, good on him for that one. And this is one of those where like the studio themselves actually signed off on it. It wasn't like this is just what they ended up calling it because this is how it was translated over there or whatever.
Right.
So, no, it's neat. It's neat. I like it.
Cool.
I want an Age of Skywalker shirt.
Oh, yeah.
So, I want it both ways. I want it in Hungarian and I want it in English. So,
Nice.
so I got to see what I can do about getting it.
Yeah.
I need this in my life. All right. So it's not really a step away from Star Wars, but it is.
It is.
But we're going to weave Star Wars into it because there's some records here that got toppled and and those records were held by Star Wars. So Avengers Endgame.
Right.
Killing it at the box office.
Yeah, this movie, it kind of came out of nowhere. Never heard of it. So
Yeah, well, who saw this coming?
Yeah. So yeah, they broke a bunch of records. I think they made up some records for them to break, and and they did it. But okay, so it's saying we have a we're just sorry.
Oh, no worries.
Oh, 5 days. Yeah, north of 1.2 billion in 5 days. So that's crazy, but
that's wow.
yeah, that is wow. Now that's worldwide, and every version of the movie you can see, but impressive nonetheless.
Yeah. Now I'll interject here and say they do have a leg up here. Okay, there's an advantage that Endgame has had that most other movies that have taken a shot at this, like The Force Awakens, Black Panther, those notables.
Right.
Avengers released in China on the same weekend as it released everywhere else.
Ah, yeah. That could be helpful.
So, yeah, that is a little bit of a boost. I mean,
right.
China's kind of known for having a lot of people.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's that.
So there's a little bit of a leg up, but it's still impressive nonetheless, because it's still smashed every domestic number, every European number. It's been definitely a huge success.
Right. So looking at the numbers, it's trying to find here. Domestic opening weekend, 350 million, which beats the previous record by almost 100 million. It was 257, and that was set by Infinity War. Let's see here. It goes into all these. Excuse me. It's the fastest to 100 million. And it did it in one day. It beats the previous record set by The Force Awakens, who also did it in one day, but apparently they were faster.
Yeah.
They're the fastest to 150, 200, 250, 300. Okay. We get it.
Yeah. We see where it's going here.
Yeah. Global IMAX opening record. Global 3D opening record. So, yeah, kind of any record you could dream up in your head. Yeah, they broke it. So, kind of amazing.
So the interesting one for me is going to be the box office champ still is Avatar, right?
Right.
And that was because Avatar had a re-release.
Right. So did Titanic, but
yeah,
Avatar's topped it. So
I would be interested to see if Endgame can topple that in a single release.
Oh,
And
yeah.
with the momentum it has,
It could do it.
it could do it. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that it may, because I know the people that I've talked to, I mean, they're all going back for repeat viewings.
Right.
So there is a really good shot that it could do that.
So just to kind of put that into context, they've got 1.2 billion in 5 days. Avatar sits at 2.7 billion. So I think it's doable.
It only needs to do another 1.5.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I say 2.7, it's 2.788. So,
right.
Almost 2.8. But
okay, so let's call it 1.8.
Yeah, I mean, it seems pretty doable to me.
Yeah, I mean, so the second weekend, which is the weekend that this is coming out here, this will be the tell, right?
Right.
So we'll see what momentum drop there is, and that'll probably be a pretty good indication on whether this is going to take a shot at the title or not.
Right. Well, man, when you think about that, the average drop is down to about what, like 60% of the opening weekend?
Right.
Generally. So if that's the case, you're looking at another 600 million right there, which would take it up to, 1.8, 1.9. So yeah, that momentum
in 2 weekends.
Up. Yeah, exactly.
Approaching $2 billion in 2 weekends.
Yeah.
Yeah. If that happens, I would say, Avatar, you're going down.
Right.
So, yeah, we'll see. If it keeps that momentum, yeah, no doubt. If it don't, well, I mean, everybody did rush out to see it, so that's definitely an advantage for opening weekend. It's going to be the repeat viewings that do this. So,
oh yeah,
I haven't seen it, so I don't know if it's repeatable.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet myself. The rest of my family went and saw it without me, mind you, but I will be seeing it.
Yeah, I'll be seeing it sometime on Blu-ray. Yeah,
right.
I'm just behind. It's don't hate me.
Yeah,
it's where I'm at.
You gotta catch up.
I've been focused on Star Wars.
Right.
Everybody went out and saw Infinity War, Endgame this weekend. I watched Solo.
Right.
I've got my priorities. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, all right. Yeah, we'll be watching. We'll be watching closely. So speaking of watching closely, Mark Hamill. Wow,
Yes.
This guy is no stranger to stirring it up.
Yeah, he likes to do that.
He definitely likes to do that. So Mark retweeted a photo, and yeah, it was not received well.
Right.
It was a photo that was photoshopped of Mark, Carrie, Harrison, and Billy D in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon, and he hashtagged it "missed opportunities."
Right.
And yeah, to say it was not received well is, I guess, kind of understating it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I think this is one of those things that, when he signed on to do this sequel trilogy, that photo is probably the one thing he imagined the whole time, right? So
yes,
It's something he wanted to see. It's something that a large portion of the fan base would have liked to have seen. Okay. I count myself in that. The fact that we didn't see it, okay, but I would have liked to have seen it. I don't think having a scene like that in these movies would have diminished them in any way, but it obviously didn't move the story along the way the creators wanted to. So, it is what it is. I just look at this as, it's Mark's thoughts, his opinion, and, leave it at that,
Yeah. So when I saw this, I thought back to The Force Awakens.
Right.
And Mark's comments following The Force Awakens and discussing Han's death.
Right. Yes.
And I think some of the backlash that he received is unfair because people are seeing it as Mark didn't like the way The Last Jedi went. I think that's a very small world view of this.
Right.
Personally, because I think this goes back to before The Last Jedi.
Oh, sure.
This goes back to The Force Awakens. Mark wanted that opportunity for the trio to be reunited on the Falcon, if only for a moment.
Right.
And it was pure him wanting to shoot a scene with the group that started it all, with his friends.
Yep.
And that's what it's about. It was with his friends.
Exactly. Yes.
So, I think boiling this down to Mark being unhappy with The Last Jedi and things like that is not a fair analysis.
Right.
This is Mark all the way back to the beginning of the sequel trilogy, just wanting a moment with his friends.
Yep.
And I think that's all this is. And who can blame someone for that?
Yeah, I can't. I mean,
right.
I don't like to see all of the and I don't want to come across wrong, but whenever people get attacked on social media, when whoever gets attacked by whoever, it's just, I don't know. It's just not good, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
It bothers me to see that. I'm not a huge presence on social media, so I don't see a whole bunch of that. But when I do see it, like this instance, it bothers me. I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. A lot of people took this as almost a personal attack.
Right.
And, I guess in one aspect, good on you for feeling passionate about Star Wars.
Yeah.
And feeling passionate about the Star Wars that you love.
Right.
I've enjoyed the sequel trilogy so far.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying change it, but I wouldn't be opposed to a scene with, especially the trio.
Right.
And I think I feel the same way as Mark. It's just, he saw it as a chance to be back with his friends, and he saw it as a scene that kind of set the stage for the passing of the torch from that generation to the next.
Right.
And that's all he sees it as. I've seen responses as Mark wants to be the star of the new trilogy and the blah, blah, blah. I don't feel that that's what he was intending.
Right.
He just wanted a scene with his friends.
Yeah, exactly.
We all have friends. We all love our friends.
Yep.
And we all love to do whatever we can with our friends. Hell, Doug, we're sitting here right now talking about Star Wars.
That's right.
We like doing stuff with our friends.
Yep.
You know? And that's what I take out of it. And I hope a lot of people can take a step back, you know, ease up for a moment, look at it that way, and, you know, maybe see it through that set of eyes, you know?
Yep.
And I think that would be a good step in the direction of all of us. All of us making a step towards everyone being Star Wars friends, you know?
Like, exactly.
That would be a good uniting moment.
Yep. No, I agree. Like I said, when I see this stuff go on, it bothers me. It bothered me when I saw what happened with like Kelly Marie Tran. I bothers me to see this with Mark Hamill. I don't know. Star Wars I have always viewed as like you know, a place to come to where all that other stuff can just be set aside for a while. So I don't know. I just hopefully everyone can, you know, look past that kind of stuff, and you know, everyone has their own opinions, and we can all discuss opinions and stuff like that without getting hostile about it.
Yeah, and like I mentioned last week, I'm hot off the celebration circuit there, you know?
Right.
And I stood in line and talked with people that I had differing views then.
Right.
And we didn't argue. We didn't get mad at each other. We didn't walk away from each other. No, we had a Star Wars conversation.
Right.
And they made points that kind of changed my view a little bit, and I'm sure I made points that changed theirs a little bit too.
Right. And if you don't, it's okay too.
And we kind of found a little bit of a middle ground.
Right.
And that's the beauty of Star Wars. Because Star Wars does have this, even though it can be divisive at times in our view of things,
mm-hmm.
It's got this really funny way of bringing us together at the same time.
Exactly.
And I think we need to focus on that a little more. Because I think if we all kind of chill out, take a step back, and talk to each other and listen to each other, I think we'll all find out that we really have a lot in common.
Absolutely. More than not. Yes.
Yeah. And, you know, we'll find a lot more new friends than we do enemies. So.
Yeah. Personally, I like friends more than enemies. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's get back to doing what we do, and let's be Star Wars fans together. No matter where you're at, no matter what stance you got.
Right on.
So, all right. So let's move on to our last topic here. So making Star Wars has got a little bit of a spoiler.
You can call it that.
Yeah, I mean it's a rumor,
right?
But it's one that I think we got to take a little seriously.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you know, we got a very familiar laugh at the end of that trailer. And there's a lot of ways this could go.
Right.
But this way seems it kind of suits Star Wars storytelling over the years. So I think it's got legs.
Right.
So what do you got, Doug?
All right. So just for the sake of saying it, I'm going to say spoiler right here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to hear it, drop out.
Drop out.
But so they have making Star Wars has some bullet points on here of what's going to happen in the how's the headline put it, the final duel in the Rise of Skywalker. So I am going to just read right through these, and then we can discuss, I guess, and then we'll go from there. The rumor is that Matt Smith isn't Palpatine reborn or rejuvenated, but a dark side acolyte. However, during the Rise of Skywalker, Smith's character is willfully possessed by the spirit of Emperor Palpatine. During the final act of the film, Rey and Kylo team up to fight Palpatine's possessed Matt Smith. The 2-on-1 duel is pretty intense for the duo. Eventually, Kylo Ren kills Palpatine's host body. Palpatine's spirit then jumps into Kylo Ren's body. Kylo Ren is strong enough to not lose total control of his mental faculties. Kylo Ren struggles to take control of his body, but subdues himself and his weapon while beckoning Rey to kill him. Kylo does the right thing and becomes Ben Solo again as he sacrifices himself to kill Palpatine. Rey, having never toyed with the dark side like Kylo Ren and the Acolyte did, means Palpatine has no body evil enough to inhabit.
All right.
So, yeah, some stuff that's kind of cool, kind of interesting. Some stuff that's a little,
Yeah, so I'll jump right to the end of that just for a moment.
Right.
And say, okay, so Palpatine's presence then doesn't have a body to inhabit.
Right.
Now, is this victory or is this delaying things, you know?
Yeah, the inevitable of him coming back again.
Because unless this guy has been there for the last 30 years, just chilling, already being possessed by Palpatine, then that means Palpatine's presence can remain no matter what.
Right.
Okay. This is very old EU style Sith storytelling.
Yeah,
So his presence would be able to remain. And so it's like Exar Kun, or, you know, even we kind of saw a similar thing with Bane in the Clone Wars.
Right.
Where he was able to linger and be able to commune with Yoda.
On Morbin.
Huh?
On Morbin.
Don't start.
Yeah. So, yes.
I already went on a 1313 rant.
I know you did. So, okay. So, what you're referring to, though, is that...
Yeah. I'll interject real quick. That's the stuff we should be pissed about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, the stuff you're referring to here is how, like, Exar Kun was, you know, his presence could still be, how do you put it? Like, interacted with, okay?
Yeah.
But only at his, the temple or the,
the temple,
the tomb that he was in, right? So basically, I think, you know, we see this remnant of the Death Star, and that is where Palpatine's essence or whatever is trapped. So
yeah, it's very, like I said, it's very Sithy.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
So you had artifacts, or you had tombs, or, you know,
right. So they're
something
tied to
they were
this.
connected to.
Yeah.
And they were able to use that in order to, you know, so even going to as recent as the Plagueis novel,
Right.
In that novel, Plagueis made mention of essence transfer, and many Sith learning that ability to be able to transfer their essence to another host.
Right.
But they were never able to keep themselves alive in their own bodies.
Right.
So it's, like I said, it's a very common thread, and it's a nice tip of the hat to the EU if this is the direction it goes.
Yeah, I agree. I like that.
But that means that Palpatine is never really able to be defeated unless they find a way to destroy his essence.
Right. So maybe destroying that remnant of the Death Star would do it.
Oh. So as soon as this is done, Rey is going to commission another Death Star in order to blow up the old Death Star.
Yeah, but it's got to be bigger than the old Death Star.
Yeah, we need another Starkiller base.
Right. That's what we do, right? That's how we got rid of Han. You kill him, then blow up the planet. That's it. Got it. Anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, all joking aside, that doesn't really give closure to the Palpatine side of things.
Agreed.
It does for the moment. And I guess it would give you a window to close out the Skywalker saga. Because Palpatine's not a Skywalker.
Right. Well, that's what they have been saying, is this is the end of the Skywalker saga.
Right. And as far as we know, Ben is the last of that bloodline.
Right. Yeah.
Well, Ben and Leia.
Right. Unless
we
something
don't know what
changes.
happens to Leia.
We don't. Right. But unless something changes with Rey's lineage or something, that would be the only other option as far as I can tell, to have another Skywalker. But that may not happen. So
no, I don't think that happens. I mean, I'm semi on board with the whole Skywalker being the new Jedi thing.
Right.
And that Rey could become a Skywalker by choice.
Right.
Take on the mantle.
Yes.
And I'm cool with that. I think that would be a fitting in-universe acknowledgement of what Luke did.
Right.
Of the sacrifice of the legend and sacrifice of Luke Skywalker. That would be a in-universe honoring of Luke Skywalker.
Right.
And the way Luke did things, which was way different than how the Jedi did things.
Yes.
Luke was a very different kind of Jedi.
Yes.
So, yeah, I dig that. As far as this fight goes, I don't know how I feel about a Kylo Ren, like it says, sacrifices himself to say, like, I don't know how I feel about a Kylo Ren suicide.
Agreed. It seems to head to a pretty dark place for, even the bad guys in Star Wars, right? I don't know. I don't know. For me, I would like to see Rey take him out. Like this would be a very tragic ending, okay? Because it says, he brings Ben Solo back. So Rey would get to see Ben Solo actually for the first time, but then have to take him out in order to take out Palpatine. And that would make it all the more tragic, which
well, yeah, and Rey's connection with Kylo has not been with Kylo Ren.
Right.
her connection has been absolutely been with Ben.
Well, right. She's, she's said as much,
Now it's been Ben Solo playing tough,
right.
trying to act like he's, in that Kylo Ren persona while he's talking to her, but he's been Ben Skywalker or
Right.
Ben Solo.
Right.
So yeah, it's been Ben Solo playing tough. So that's her connection there. She's been connected with Ben Solo.
Yes.
And to see Ben Solo show up to essentially beg her to do what needs to be done for everybody, and to get to see the struggle that she has with that decision, even though knowing it's the right decision,
Right.
and the emotion that would go along with that.
Yep.
That would be super powerful.
Absolutely.
And I think would be the right approach.
Yep.
So
Yeah. I like that route way more than Kylo,
yeah, falling on his blade.
falling on his blade. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't like that. I think that's a little too. One, it would be a little too copying of Darth Vader. You know what I mean?
Kinda. Yeah.
I mean, Vader, yeah, he didn't, fall on his own blade, but he made a choice that killed himself. He knew the decision he made was leading to his death.
Right.
Directly, like his actions. I think if Kylo's actions lead to his own death, it's kind of like you're just mirroring Darth Vader. I think his sacrifice has to be different.
Yeah.
And I think him asking for it and convincing Rey that that's the right thing would be much more powerful.
Right.
And and anyone who's listened to this show for any period of time, this is a very drastic shift in my stance, because I was looking at no possible avenue for redemption for Ben Solo.
Right.
I felt he had to be Kylo Ren to the end, giving Rey no choice. That's how it ends.
Right.
But now that Palpatine's in the equation, I am feeling a little differently about this.
Yeah. Absolutely. And this also plays right into what I've said before about how, if there's going to be any redemption for Kylo Ren, it's got to be through his demise, because, there's no way he's ever forgiven, for some.
Yeah,
of
he
the
just
things
can't
he's
go,
done.
oh, my bad.
Exactly. So
Yeah, I'm with you.
there is another point here I wanted to touch on, real quick, because we were,
Yeah, we're running out of time here.
Yeah.
We're overtime.
Yes. So, if Palpatine is out there, and something you mentioned to me earlier, actually, was he kind of has had a hand in everything that's gone on, right? So, with Anakin Skywalker, right? Which leads to Luke Skywalker, which leads to Luke and Leia and Ben Solo, right? So he's kind of had a hand in the Skywalker lineage the whole time,
Mhm.
right? So,
And you're referring to the Plagueis novel,
right. Yes.
where Palpatine and Plagueis, attempted to create life,
Right.
using the Force.
Right.
And the backlash is insinuated as being the birth of Anakin.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, so with that being said, you mentioned that because of that, he's kind of had he's been in touch with the Skywalkers all along the way, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, he's had an avenue, a connection in which to manipulate.
Correct. Yes, I like that. So this, and I'm not going to call it a retcon because this is how the story is playing out.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that has bothered a bunch of people about Episode 8 is why would Luke go retreat to an island and shut himself off from the Force? That right there might be it. Because if he shuts himself off from the Force, it might be to keep Palpatine, which, who knows, maybe by the end of Episode 9, we find out Luke knew Palpatine was trying to, let's say, possess a body and get out. And, Luke's presence would only facilitate that more. I don't know. But it kind of makes more sense looking forward into the story if that's kind of the case. So,
yeah, so I guess a way to, let's say, simplify would be Luke might see himself as the necessary vessel for Palpatine to continue his reign. Like,
right.
Palpatine's reign relies on a Skywalker. So if he shuts himself off, he takes himself out of that equation and therefore stifles Palpatine's rise.
Right.
And I say rise as a return to power.
Right.
So he knows that it's possible that Luke would know that the Skywalkers are integral to his plan.
Yeah.
So, yeah, shutting himself off to the Force would be a good way to disrupt that.
Exactly.
And like you said, that's not retconning anything.
No.
That is a continuation.
Yep. And it makes, we've said this before, right? We can't really judge Episode 8 until we see Episode 9. And just going down that path of speculation, it makes what happened with Luke in Episode 8 make more sense, at least to me.
And what's funny about that is it may not go that direction at all, right?
Right, it might not. No.
But what this speculation and this conversation has done for us is it has shown us that there are plenty, maybe not plenty, but there are windows, right? Yes. There are bridges
Avenues,
to this story,
yes,
that will make this make sense.
Yes.
And will bridge that gap and make everyone, who has really invested in this story all along the way, it will really give us a good footing to really feel satisfied with this sequel trilogy as a whole.
Yes.
And not only that, but the saga as a whole. It will be that connective tissue that brings everything together, which is the one thing that, like, I think has been missing. And it's not surprising that connective tissue isn't going to show up until the end.
Right.
I mean, it's supposed to be the epic conclusion.
Exactly.
If we had all the pieces that make everything leading up to this make sense, then it can't be epic.
Right.
We have to find out why that makes sense. So if we knew all that, then we're just going through the motions for this last one. And the last one, I think, needs to be epic.
Agreed.
It needs to fit it all together.
Yep.
And after hearing JJ talk at Celebration, I'm confident.
Oh, yeah.
Because JJ's confident. So I'm feeling the energy. I'm feeling the vibe.
Me too.
And I'm really looking forward to episode 9. And just this mere speculation that's and what it spawned just with us tonight is fun, and it's really got me excited to see, is this the way they're going to go, or is there another way that we haven't explored yet?
Right.
I mean, we've seen repeatedly lately, especially looking at the Mandalorian, and you know, they're willing to go to the well.
Yes they are.
And in that well, there are tons of directions this could go.
Yeah.
I mean, this was just tonight. Look what we came up with tonight.
Yeah, I know it.
So, I mean, the possibilities are endless at this point.
Yep, for sure.
And yeah, my confidence level has definitely risen. So, well, if you have anything to add to that, you can always email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best way to get a hold of us. We're also on social media. We're at The Wars and More on Twitter, facebook.com/thewarsandmore. And you can find all of that and all the ways to find the show over at thewarsandmore.com. Any final thoughts this week, Doug?
No, I think that about covers it.
All right. We'll talk next week.